That morning in 2008 changed everything. I was sitting in my Torrance apartment, looking at the wreckage of my financial life scattered across my dining table, bank statements, investment documents that no longer existed, bills I could not pay. The irony was striking. I, who had spent 5 years in Japan learning about order and simplicity, was living in complete mental and financial chaos. It was then I remembered the words of my grandmother Akiko during my childhood. Naomi-chan, when life breaks, you can throw it away or transform it into something more beautiful. She had taught me about Danshari: refuse, discard, separate. But I had not yet understood the true power of this ancestral philosophy. Therefore, if you live amid clutter and feel that your mind is a direct reflection of the chaos around you, if your mornings begin with the sensation of always searching for something that should be there but never is, you need to know these 5 Japanese secrets that I discovered in my darkest moments, but which became the unshakable foundation of my inner peace. If you value a life with more elegance, lightness, and intention, subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and leave your like. Because today you will learn how to transform any chaotic space into a sanctuary of serenity using ancient Japanese wisdom. First secret: Danshari, the silent revolution of refusing, discarding, and separating. When I returned from Japan in 1992, I brought only 2 suitcases. Not because I was poor. My family always had considerable resources. But because I had learned the true meaning of Danshari during my daily coexistence with authentic Japanese people. Danshari is a word composed of 3 sacred kanji: Dan, which means refusing with dignity; Sha, which means discarding with gratitude; and Ri, which means separating with wisdom. But attention, it is not just about getting rid of physical objects. It is a complete revolution in how you conduct your existence. Danshari is refusing everything that does not genuinely contribute to your happiness, discarding everything that is creating unnecessary weight in your life, and definitively separating what really matters from what is just daily noise. I vividly remember an architect friend, graduated from one of the best universities in California, who lived in a constant state of chronic stress. Her 2,000-square-foot house in Manhattan Beach seemed like a sophisticated depot of imported design magazines, each room meticulously packed with culturally important objects, contemporary art, coffee table books she never opened, gourmet utensils she used once a year. She spent entire weekends just looking for basic documents, house keys, even clothes she wanted to wear for important appointments. When she finally decided to apply Danshari with my guidance, she discovered something shocking. She needed only 30% of what she possessed to live with elegance and functionality. The rest was just sophisticated visual noise and mental weight disguised as good taste. The first stage, Dan refuse, means immediately interrupting the cycle of unconscious accumulation. Before any purchase, even the most tempting ones, I ritualistically ask 3 fundamental questions. Does this bring me genuine joy or just momentary satisfaction? Do I have real and honest space for this in my current life? And will this consciously replace something I already own, or will it be just another addition? If the answer is no to any of them, I refuse politely but firmly. The second stage, Sha, discard, requires deep emotional courage. It is not brutally about throwing everything away in an organizational fury, but about honoring each object by consciously and carefully choosing what remains in your life. When my mother, a successful entrepreneur in the fashion sector, became seriously ill in 2012, her collection of more than 100 designer bags became a gigantic emotional burden. Together, during afternoon tea and deep conversations, we chose 5 pieces that truly represented significant moments in her history and donated the rest to institutions that support women entrepreneurs. She discovered something revolutionary. She felt infinitely lighter, more connected to herself, more authentically her. The third stage, separate, is about true and liberating emotional detachment. You are not your impressive bank account. You are not your imported car. You are not your enviable resume. You are the conscious person who intentionally chooses how to live each moment. Second secret, Wabi-Sabi, The revolutionary philosophy of imperfect beauty. Wabi-Sabi is an ancient Japanese philosophical ideal, as well as an aesthetic approach deeply centered on the courageous acceptance of transience and imperfection of objects and human beings. This ancestral conception is frequently described as the appreciation of beauty that is consciously imperfect, impermanent, and deliberately incomplete. Wabi-Sabi literally saved me from neurotic perfectionism that almost destroyed me emotionally during my early professional years. During an exhausting period of nearly 5 years, I desperately tried to maintain a home worthy of international magazines, an Instagram-perfect life, an impeccable social appearance. Until I understood a liberating truth. Wabi means serene and natural quietude, and Sabi is understood as authentic and genuine simplicity. In my favorite Japanese ceramic for the daily tea ceremony, there is a small, delicate crack that happened naturally approximately 3 years ago. Initially, my Western impulse was to throw it away immediately, but it gradually became exponentially more beautiful and meaningful with this authentic mark of lived time. Each morning, when I hold it carefully in my hands, I remember that imperfection is pure and true humanity. A friend who works as a fashion editor, always impeccably dressed and socially admired, constantly apologized embarrassedly for the imperfect state of her kitchen. Iron pans with natural marks of intense use, wooden countertop with organic scratches accumulated over the years, utensils that had clearly participated in thousands of family meals. When she finally understood the transformative essence of Wabi-Sabi, she completely stopped seeing these marks as embarrassing flaws and began to perceive them as living and precious history. Her home instantly became infinitely more welcoming and authentic because it finally had true soul instead of artificial perfection. Wabi-Sabi is courageously accepting that not everything needs to be brand new, perfectly symmetrical, or completely without visible defects. It is consciously valuing what has already passed through real life, what carries genuine stories to tell with authority. It is deliberately preferring a wooden table with honest marks of time to an impeccable glass surface, cold and without personality. Third secret. Ma, the transformative power of intentional empty space. Ma is a deeply philosophical concept that transcends superficial decoration. It is a term not only aesthetic, but that permeates absolutely all aspects of Japanese culture and life for more than 1,000 years. Its multidimensional meaning can represent the sacred interval between things, the conscious space between objects, the eloquent silence between sounds, or the reflective quietude between deliberate actions. Ma is precisely what is not physically there, but which confers deep meaning to what is present. It is the strategic silence between two musical notes that creates the exciting melody. It is the purposeful empty space on the wall that makes the single artwork truly shine with intensity. In my current home, I practice Ma in an absolutely deliberate and conscious way. In the main living room, I have exclusively my walnut table acquired in 2010, 2 chairs of timeless design and a single artisanal ceramic with personal history. Absolutely nothing more. Visitors always comment, invariably surprised, how the environment seems substantially larger and more sophisticated than the real dimensions suggest. This happens because Ma creates authentic visual breathing and natural elegance. A client of mine, owner of a conceptual boutique in Santa Monica, constantly complained that her store seemed visually tight and suffocating, even though it was objectively spacious and well located. When we rigorously applied the principles of MA, removing 40% of the products on display and creating absolutely strategic empty spaces, something magical happened. Sales consistently increased 25% in the first quarter. Customers began to truly notice and appreciate each piece individually, instead of feeling emotionally overwhelmed by visual abundance. Ma is definitely not decorative laziness or lack of financial resources. It is refined intentionality elevated to the maximum. It is understanding deeply that, often, what you consciously do not place in an environment is infinitely more important and elegant than what you choose to display. Fourth secret, Mottainai, sacred respect for what already exists. Mottainai can be considered simultaneously a deep cultural practice and a fundamental principle of conscious living. Composed of the Buddhist origin term Mottainai, which reverently refers to the intrinsic essence of things, and the particle nai, which indicates negation in Japanese language, this term is used to convey the revolutionary idea that wasting anything is a form of cosmic disrespect. But it is exponentially deeper than simple domestic ecology. Mottainai is fundamentally about spiritual reverence. It is seeing the intrinsic and sacred value in each object, in each precious moment, in each human relationship. It is the absolute philosophical opposite of Western disposable and replaceable culture. In my carefully organized pantry, I maintain exactly 27 essential items. Each ingredient was consciously chosen. Each has specific purpose and clear function. Each is used completely and with gratitude before being respectfully replaced. This is definitely not financial or social limitation. It is authentic and sophisticated freedom. Genuine freedom from not wasting precious time searching unnecessarily. Hard-earned money buying what I already possess in abundance. Valuable mental energy managing unnecessary excess. Mottainai is a Japanese language expression that can be interpreted as a deep exclamation of existential sorrow. What irreparable waste! This apparently simple expression embeds a revolutionary philosophy that attributes intrinsic value and dignity to each object and, consequently, absolute respect to it and the invisible connections between all things. When I observe someone buying an object completely identical to what they already own, because they cannot remember where they stored the first one, I think melancholically, Mottainai. When I see luxurious drawers packed with expensive beauty products with single and sporadic use, I whisper sadly, Mottainai. When I witness closets full of clothes with tags still attached, I murmur, Mottainai. Practicing Mottainai authentically is using each lipstick completely to the end before opening another. It is giving real and tangible value to what you have already consciously chosen to have in your life. It is definitively stopping treating your own personal objects as disposable items without importance. During my volunteer work after the earthquake and tsunami of 2011 in Japan, I witnessed families who had lost absolutely everything material, but who still practiced Mottainai with the few resources made available by temporary shelters. They used each grain of rice, each drop of water, each piece of fabric with a reverence that taught me the true meaning of conscious abundance. Fifth secret, Kintsugi, the sublime art of transforming breaks into eternal beauty. Kintsugi is the ancestral Japanese method of restoring traditional ceramics when they inevitably break. By applying this ancient repair technique, the cracks completely cease to be an embarrassing problem, and, on the contrary, the pieces become infinitely more beautiful, valuable, and meaningful than before the original accident. The traditional Kintsugi restoration method consists of patiently gluing the broken parts with special lacquer and artistically embellishing the joints with real gold along the entire visible junction. The lacquer naturally takes 10 to 15 days to dry completely. It is necessary to carefully sprinkle gold powder in the places of the joints, let it dry completely, apply lacquer again with precision, dry naturally and delicately polish to give the perfect final finish. Kintsugi taught me a revolutionary truth. Breaking is not failing miserably. It is simply the next inevitable chapter of the story. It is the opportunity to become something even more beautiful and valuable than it was originally. In 2008, when I literally lost everything in the international financial crisis, apartment, investments, social identity as successful, I viscerally felt that my life had shattered irreparably. But it was exactly in that painful break that I found my true authentic essence. Just as the Kintsugi restoration method consists of gluing broken parts with precious material, I learned to value my emotional scars as integral elements of my personal beauty. A client went through an absolutely devastating separation at 45 years old, after 20 years of apparently solid marriage. For endless months, she desperately tried to return exactly to what she was before the tragedy. When she finally understood the transformative philosophy of Kintsugi, she completely stopped trying to erase the painful marks of the experience and began to consciously integrate them as acquired wisdom and inner strength. Today, 2 years after the transformation, she categorically affirms that she is infinitely stronger, wiser, and more genuinely beautiful exactly because of, not despite, what she lived intensely. Kintsugi is definitely not about shamefully hiding scars or pretending that traumas did not happen. It is about respectfully honoring them as an integral and valuable part of your unique history. It is understanding deeply that cracks and repairs are simply natural events in the life of the object or person, instead of allowing value to end abruptly at the moment of apparent damage or rupture. In traditional Japanese culture, objects repaired with kintsugi frequently become more valuable monetarily and spiritually than identical pieces that never broke. This complete inversion of Western values fascinates me. Where we see defect, they perceive uniqueness. Where we see diminished value, they celebrate increased meaning. The definitive transformation. Integrating the 5 secrets. These 5 ancient Japanese secrets are not merely superficial domestic organization techniques. They are a complete and integrated philosophy of conscious existence. When you practice Danshari consistently, you create physical and mental space. When you honor Ma respectfully, you allow that space to breathe naturally. When you embrace Wabi-Sabi courageously, you accept that imperfection is authentic humanity. When you live Mottainai daily, you value each personal choice. When you understand Kintsugi deeply, you transform inevitable breaks into personalized art. The fundamental difference between a perpetually cluttered house and a genuinely serene home is not in the dimensions of available space or the monetary value of displayed objects. It is entirely in conscious intention. It is in mental presence. It is in the spiritual understanding that you deserve to live surrounded exclusively by that which truly nourishes your soul. Since I have been applying these Japanese principles daily for more than 15 years, my life has become extraordinarily simple and profoundly rich simultaneously. Not because I possess fewer material things, but because each thing I possess was consciously chosen with criteria. Not because my home is artificially perfect, but because it is authentically mine. During my weekly practice of kakebo every Friday, serving bancha tea in white porcelain while reviewing my financial choices, I reflect on how these concepts transformed not only my physical spaces, but my relationship with time, with money, with people, and with myself. When Kenji, my son, entered university in 2021 to study civil engineering, he commented something that marked me deeply. "Mom, I learned from you that elegance is not having much. It is choosing well." This phrase perfectly summarizes the essence of the 5 Japanese secrets. If this video truly resonated with you, if you desire to cultivate a life with more genuine lightness, natural sophistication, and conscious intention, subscribe to the channel and leave a generous like. Share in the comments which of these 5 secrets most touched your heart. And always remember, true elegance is not about impressing other people, it is about deeply honoring yourself. Life can be simple without being simplistic, rich without being excessive, beautiful without being perfect. Less is more, always has been. Did you enjoy the video? Leave your thoughts in the comments.